Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, afternoon, and evening to all the people joining us all over from the US, the UK, and Pakistan. It's a real pleasure to be interacting with you all today. Just to sort of go over today's topic, today's session by Park Launch for the next hour is to broadly discuss opportunities around enhancing trade and collaboration between the UK and Pakistan. And related to this topic are the leading private sector trade bodies based in Pakistan, which are the FPCCI, which is the Federation of Pakistan Chambers of Commerce and Industry, and the Pakistan UK Business Council of the FPCCI, about which we will be talking a bit more about in detail shortly. The team and community of Park Launch has been making an immense impact through collaboration between Pakistanis across the globe, and this is another one of the many initiatives. I'll start with a quick intro of myself and today's topic, and then the guest today. My name is Asfandia Farooq, and I'm the managing director at Ather, a multi-channel retail and manufacturing business based in Pakistan. I also serve on the National E-Commerce Council, which is a body of representatives from the public and private sectors in Pakistan, working towards the practical implementation of the National E-Commerce Policy of Pakistan since 2019. And I'm also privileged to say that I'm both a member of Park Launch and a director of the Pakistan UK Business Council of the FPCCI. Our guests today, first and foremost, are Ather Sultan Chavla. He's currently the vice president of the FPCCI, the Federation of Pakistan Chambers of Commerce and Industry. He brings with him 20 years of experience in scaling businesses spanning retail, fast food, fine dining, logistics, and information systems industries in Pakistan. Ather is also managing trustee of Reflection School and CEO of WA Brands since 2012. Also with us today is Imran Khalil Naseer. He's the chairman at Pakistan UK Business Council, FPCCI. He was elected chairman for 2021, representing the Pakistan UK membership. And he's the CEO and director of Float Securities Private Limited in Pakistan. And Imran is also chairman of SEMA's Global Member Engagement Committee, GMEC, since 2019. Just a bit about Park Launch for all the participants who may be joining for the first time. Park Launch is an online community connecting distinguished Pakistani diaspora with the entrepreneurial and investment ecosystem back home. Since launching in just last year in April 2020 from San Francisco, the Park Launch family has grown to 30,000 members globally. They recently conducted the largest Pakistani tech conference with 25,000 signups and 700,000 views. Park Launch has enabled over $10 million in investments into Pakistani startups and conducted 10,000 hours of online training to transfer knowledge into Pakistan, which is a tremendous achievement so far, and this is only the beginning. I'd like to just quickly go over the format today. We'll talk a bit about the FPCCI, the council, and their activities. We'll also discuss the current landscape and possible opportunities for trade and collaboration between UK and Pakistan, during which we will also request a few members of the Pakistan UK Business Council in attendance to share their thoughts on the topic. Later on, we would also like to open the floor to participants, especially those of whom are based in the UK, to share their thoughts or questions or anything they would like to add. And we can try to keep it as interactive as possible. Meanwhile, please feel free to ask for questions in the chat box, and we'll also try to address them during the discussions. As we move into today's topic, myself, Ather and Imran would like to. I hope you can see the screen. CCI. It was actually founded in 1950, and it's private sector led. It combines all the chambers and associations of trade and industry in the country under the unified umbrella of an apex trade body of the country. So you've got all these chambers of CCI has advocated and voiced the collective opinion, concern, and aspirations of the private sector, and work towards promoting exports, encouraging foreign investment, stimulating economic activity in the country, and interacting very closely with the government. Interestingly, the FPCCI has under its umbrella 227 trade bodies. So the FPCCI is actually divided into various committees and councils. You've got the international level, which is the business councils, such as the Pakistan UK Business Council, joint chambers about that. Just to quickly, before that, go into the Pakistan UK Business Council. It's the official body for furthering B2B cooperation between the UK and Pakistan. And there are 150 plus members of the Pakistan UK Business Council across a wide spectrum of businesses in manufacturing, technology, healthcare, education, travel, tourism, financial services, insurance, commodities, and many more. So that's just a brief overview of sort of what has been going on as far as the FPCCI, how they're structured. And just to add to that, the FPCCI has a body that's elected. The leadership is elected every year, and so is for the council as well. While the structure, support structure there is in perpetuity, working throughout the 10 years and throughout the years. Ather Saab, over to you quickly, so we can sort of, anything you'd like to add about, and share your thoughts about the FPCCI.
Thank you, Asfandyar. Thank you, Path Launch, for taking this initiative and inviting us. I think Asfandyar has briefly updated what FPCCI does. Just to elaborate, FPCCI, as you all know, is the apex body of all the of Pakistan Chamber of Commerce, and it's the apex body of all the chambers and associations working in Pakistan. So to say, that means that it is the mother or body of all the chambers and associations. So under it comes like big chambers like Karachi Chamber, Lahore Chamber, which are part of us, as well as small chambers and joint chambers. Part of FPCCI is actually to coordinate and align between the different businesses around the world, and different federations and chambers around the world. So Pak UK Business Council is one of them, that we have different business councils which actually take the initiative on behalf of FPCCI. So last year, this going year rather, on behalf of FPCCI, through Pak UK Business Council, we signed a memorandum of understanding for collaboration with Great Manchester Chamber of Commerce, and we are also on the way to sign with the Scottish Chamber as well. So as Asfandyar has informed that we have been elected, we are elected every year. So we are elected body, which comes through, which is elected by our association and chamber, and we come only for a year. We all understand that 1 year is not enough to perform anyways. I mean, to bring about a change, we need at least 3 to 5 years that we bring a change and then we take it along. But unfortunately, despite our efforts, that this is the mandate is given to us for at least 2 to 3 years, it didn't happen. So what we did was, to ensure the continuity of the steps which we are taking, we this year formed a policy and advisory board, which is actually led by Mr. Yunus Dhaga, who's a very renowned bureaucrat. He looked after the finance. He was a finance secretary. He was secretary energy, and he was secretary commerce as well. And mashallah, very, very knowledgeable guy. So then he made his team, and he took along different people who are experts of their fields like agriculture, which is the backbone of Pakistan, fields like energy, where we require to update ourselves, and obviously business and mining as well, because mining is one field where we have a lot of opportunities, but we haven't actually gone all out on that sector. So what we did was, we made this policy board, and we have given the mandate for them for 3 years at least. So even though that we move out, the policy board continues to do the good work. Alhamdulillah, by mid of this month, inshallah, we will be printing, taking out 3 papers, one on energy, one on cryptocurrency, because that is one thing which is there to stay, at least how we see it. But government has not taken any step towards it, to look into it, to either legalize or illegalize it, whatever. But I mean, I believe they have no clue about it. So what we are doing is that we are trying to take steps where this federation start playing its true role, and move forward and actually work in hand with the government. So we become the policy arm of the government, because the policy should come from the business side rather than business side just being kept aside. So inshallah, taking it forward, we'll do it. In the same context, Pak UK Business Council, one of the councils which Federation has. We have different business councils for every country. But Pak UK Business Council, under the leadership of Mr. Imran, is extremely active, is very, very active council. They really work hard. And I'm sure that working together with the British diaspora, with the British business community, hopefully it will benefit not only Pakistan as well as Britain as well. And inshallah, we will work together. And FPCCI, I can assure you, is always there to go to any length in benefit if it benefits the business community of either Pakistan or Britain. I think we can continue. I can add on and later as well if needed. But over to Asfaniyar. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for that. You wanted to bring in Imran here. If you could sort of guide us also through some of the things that Ather Saab talked about and about the Pak UK Business Council, especially the landscape of trade and related points. Thank you.
Thank you, Asfaniyar. Pleasure to have this session with Pak Launch. Ather Saab and Asfaniyar have already given a brief background about FPCCI and a little bit about Pak UK Business Council. But just for members of Pak Launch, Pak UK Business Council is the officially designated trade body for connecting the business communities of UK and Pakistan. Our role is to enhance cooperation and develop a forum for readily exchange of information between both sides. I just want to give members of Pak Launch a bit of a feeler of what we've done. Well, firstly, some of the board members will be talking about the various opportunities as a follow-up to enlighten members of Pak Launch about what are the opportunities within the different sectors in Pakistan. But just to give you a brief overview, Pak UK Business Council encourages and takes trade delegations to UK and connects them with businesses of UK. We've held a session on Roshan Digital in collaboration with Habib Bank, and that was done for the Pakistani Diaspora. We've done an awareness session on Amazon and the opening up of the opportunities on that front. We've signed up an agreement with GMCC, Greater Manchester Chambers of Commerce, that connects us with 5,000 businesses operating in the Greater Manchester region, like Ather Saab briefly mentioned. GSP Plus, we've conducted a session on that. We've done an awareness session. We've conducted a session on food and drinks sector and what are the opportunities in that sector for businesses on both sides. Our session today is a further step to connect with the Pakistani diaspora, and we also encourage by doing matchmaking and advising policymakers on what should be the policy and how we can welcome both Pakistani businesses to UK and UK businesses to Pakistan. So that's just a very brief overview of what we've done to enhance trade. Over to you, Asfaniyar.
Right. I think sort of to move to, if I could request Ehsan from for the Pak UK Business Council to sort of talk about the sectors that he's involved in and sort of what's going on and maybe opportunities in that regard. Request Altaf Ashwani. He's a member of the Pak UK Business Council, and he's involved in with Sanat of Inaz in retail and also in outside Pakistan. If you could sort of request him to sort of comment on a few things related to his sector. Yeah, Altaf, over to you.
Thank you, Asman. I hope you guys can hear me. Good evening. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much, first and foremost, to Pak Launch for organizing, this event. Aswan has already mentioned that I am related and I'm on the Pakistan Business Council looking after the textile side of the business. So whenever there are textile inquiries, either ways out of Pakistan or out of the UK, I try and assist in matchmaking with buyers and suppliers. Besides that, I'm also looking at the tourism side of inquiries with Park UK. And what we have seen in the recent years is that the opening up of Pakistan tourism, has sort of definitely put us on the map. The northern areas of Pakistan are sort of where majority of the interest is coming in from, and if there is any requirement by anybody, please do feel free to get in touch with the Park Business Council, Park UK Business Council, and we will try and assist you all in any way possible. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Altaf. I'd like to also invite Aminuddin here. He's with us to also speak about his sectors. He's currently the CEO of TPL Insurance and has been in the financial services industry for quite a while, with vast experience.
Thanks, Asfandiyar. Just a small introduction for myself. I've been in the financial services sector now for 28 years. Having spent about 12 years in the UK and in various locations in Europe as well as in Africa. I've been back in Pakistan for a couple of years, and what I can tell Park Launch attendees is that Pakistan is basically a great land of opportunity for collaborations, given the fact that it's a market which has a lot of potential. A couple of things which are really transformed the opportunity landscape for Pakistan is the connectivity which exists now, and that's reflected in the number of people connected, which is represented by the tele-density and the number of smartphone users. And now what we're seeing increasingly is that smartphone manufacturers are setting up in Pakistan, which will provide local handsets, again, which is an import substitution, and also providing further bandwidth or a technological highway for developments. In the financial services sector, what we've seen is a lot of a frenzy of activity. Digital banking licenses are about to be authorized by the central bank, called the State Bank of Pakistan. So we're seeing a lot of interest from foreign players in terms of the digital banking landscape, also on the insurance side. And so there are lots of opportunities for people who have the know-how, the expertise to arrange collaborations with local financial institutions who are looking to set up digital enterprises, digital banks, digital insurance companies. And it's not only just the digital landscape that these financial services are looking for, there are ancillary services as well. So, digital wallets and a host of other products and services. In retrospect, what else Pakistan can provide to the world outside is a very large talent base. So what we've seen with particularly COVID-related, work from home concepts is there's a decent amount of talent available here, which is now working for global companies all over the world, and travel restrictions have allowed people to kind of tap into that talent base here. So on the IT side, on the financial services like the actuarial services or the accounting services, there's a lot of talent which can be accessed. So in summary, a lot of opportunities for collaboration and a lot of things that can be done together. Thank you, Asfandiyar.
Thank you. Just a question, actually, if I may, I wanted to sort of ask a question regarding sort of the financial services and the also the area that you're working in. I mean, do you think there's also some potential for sort of knowledge sharing and capacity building also, other than obviously investments and moving into that space?
Absolutely. So I think there's a lot that has been done, and in a way, as I said, this super highway of technology and communication, Pakistan has just started to catch up. And hence there is a desire for lots of incumbent businesses here in Pakistan to collaborate to get either funding or technology transfers. So there are a lot of opportunities on that space. As I said, financial services, which includes the asset management space, the leasing companies, the insurance companies, the banks, the microfinance segment. And we see that happening quite a bit. So on the DFI space, we see Pakistan now being reevaluated from a participation perspective. So in our case, in particularly this group and the company that I work for, we've had the DEG, which is the German government's private equity arm, come and invest in equity in our company, and we are in final stages of negotiation with FinFund, which is the government of Finland's private equity arm, also looking to make an investment. So this is one of many investments that the world is looking to do, and that is obviously financial assistance in addition to technology transfer.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for that. I'd like to also request Ehsan Bar to join us to share his thoughts. Ehsan is involved in the tech and startup space as well as in food and beverage sector. And I request him to come in and introduce himself and also share his thoughts.
Thank you, Asfandyar. So exciting times. Glad to be part of this conversation. And I think Pakistan is right now looking forward over the next decade or so. I think anyone who's looking to invest into emerging markets, I think Pakistan is one of the economies that has to be looked into. We've seen Middle East and Far East getting a lot of traction of international capital. And I think now Pakistan, over the next couple of decades, is coming into the limelight. We've seen good investments being come into Pakistan, but I think that's just the beginning now. I think Pakistan, with a population of 200 million people, has immense economic returns to offer to international investors. And with a lot of ease of doing business being done by the government, I think investors should be looking into Pakistan. I am myself part of several startups, either by myself or being on the board of other startups. And I have complete confidence that there are huge things happening in Pakistan, be that tourism industry, be that logistics or mobility. It could be manufacturing, it could be agriculture. I think Pakistan has a lot of pluses to offer. And now I think it's high time for us to capitalize on that. And I believe that Pak Launch and FPCCI and Pak UK Business Council, I think these are the platforms where we need to continuously reach out to people and offer them what kind of attractions that they're looking at in terms of industries or in terms of ROIs. I think both are there in Pakistan. So anything specific, I think we have so many diversified members onto our board. And I think anyone who's looking to invest into any particular industry, I'm sure we should be able to offer them attractive options over here in Pakistan.
Great. One question, Ehsan, I wanted to ask you about sort of the space that you're operating in. How do you look at, I mean, there's obviously a lot of investment, high profile investment going on. And of course, Pak Launch actually is also facilitating that in a lot of ways. So how do you see sort of, do you see the do you see sort of the startup sort of landscape at the moment, sort of limited to the sort of high profile sort of and the big names that are now coming up? Or how do you sort of look at that? How much more is there under the surface as far as sort of this ecosystem is concerned from your point of view?
I think that's a great question, Asfandyar. I've been part of this tech startup scene for the last 15 years now, when Pakistan e-commerce was just kicking off in the year 2004 and 5. And I've seen things evolving, albeit slowly, because of all the external factors that Pakistan has unfortunately gone through. But nevertheless, we've thrived through that as well, sheerly because of the number of people that this country has, the economy size that we have. The transactions that have happened so far are few. And I would say that, yes, I still believe that we have just scratched the surface, and there is a huge depth that is lying over here in Pakistan. The companies who have raised capital are primarily either coming out of the big 5 consulting firm founders, or maybe founders from the Silicon Valley coming into Pakistan and starting their own ventures, or maybe being graduates of one of the top universities, Ivy Leagues. So those 20, 30, 40 startups have raised funding over here. And I think that's just the inroads towards going into the larger pool of startups. And I think that if we can have 200 startups raise $250,000 each, I think that's where the crust of the ecosystem lies. And I believe that our local investors have to play their part as much as the foreign investors have come in. So the market is going to flourish through the local investors. The great part is investors coming in from the US primarily, and then Middle East as well, have laid down the foundations. But I think the masses have to be invested by the locals themselves. We've seen the GEM board coming in. I think that's going to mature up as well. And as we say that this is just the beginning. So I'm quite hopeful over the next decade that we're going to see a lot of good things coming out.
Right. Just a follow-up question on sort of the other side of sort of things that you're looking at in food and beverage, and if anybody else also wants to sort of add on to that from the participants, sort of where do you see that sort of how's the landscape there within food and beverage, and even dining, and I think Ather Saab also maybe can add on to that as well, just sort of a question, because it was in my mind that that's also a space that maybe hasn't necessarily gotten from an investment perspective, but I think there's a lot going on in that space. Anything you would like to comment on that?
I think scaling again has huge opportunities in F&B as well. We see the top brands like McDonald's and Subways and Dunkin' Donuts coming into Pakistan and having footprint in major cities of Karachi, Lahore, and Islamabad. But our half of the population is still untapped when we go to the smaller cities and smaller town areas. I think there's a huge opportunity again with all the road networks that's being built up along the CPEC. And F&B is actually part of hospitality sector. And I see quite a few chains coming in and setting up their 3-star, 4-star facilities. We've got great beaches. We've got over 1,000 kilometers of beaches. Not much happening over there yet. We've got mountain areas from Karachi all the way up to Khyber. I think there's a network of highways coming along, and I think immense trade opportunities lying in the F&B and tourism sector both. So technology, great potential in the future. F&B, the entertainment industry, the recreation industry, I think everyone is going to see a boom over the next decade.
Wonderful. Ather Saab, you wanted to say something about this, please?
I think even in technology side, if you take food, cloud kitchens are most probably next thing in. They haven't taken off yet, but I believe that cloud kitchens will take off. So any investment coming into that should do well. Similarly, we have seen that the delivery companies like Food Panda has done extremely well, especially in the last 2 years. So delivery has huge potential in the food sector as well, and it is growing enormously. So I think delivery with cloud kitchens and obviously tech-enabled business, I think that will become the next future. So any investment coming into it should do well in short run as well as the long run.
Mm-hmm. And sort of how do you think that the FPCCI and the Pak UK Business Council can sort of facilitate people coming who want to invest, who want to look at what are the opportunities sort of in this space, other spaces, if you start with this space and other spaces as well, what can be done there? And sort of, because it's clearly that there's a lot of potential, but sort of how is that, how can the connection be made, and what can be done through the body, in your opinion?
Imran, I suggest that because we have been working together on this, I think you should take the lead on this.
That'd be great.
Sure. So, Asfandyar, like Yasin said, a lot of our members are already operating in various sectors. So, for example, if somebody's interested in partnering with the businesses here in the retail sector, then we can connect them. So, what we've done at the Business Council is we are also evolving as the needs evolve. So, we've set up sector-specific responsibilities given to the directors of the Business Council, so that whatever queries we are getting, we are directing them to the relevant people and connecting them appropriately. We have the expertise of connecting you with joint venture partners here. We can also facilitate you on the policy front, and also connect you with, for example, I mean, I'll just highlight one recent example where the British Deputy High Commission requested us to connect them with a technology business that operating in the Greater Manchester region that wants to venture out in Pakistan. So we held a call with them, we facilitated them, we connected them with the various consultants and facilitated them on how to get all the registrations done, how to actually set up the businesses in Pakistan. So those are kind of examples that we've done, and we have the relevant people on board, and if not, we will be happy to bring them on board. So those are kind of things that we are able to do, but I think it'll also be interesting to hear from Park Launch and the team that what are they looking for and how can we facilitate them.
Definitely, I think if anybody from the community, I understand we have to sort of limit the Zoom participants due to some issues. But I think anyone feel free from the participants here, or if there are any sort of questions coming in through or points coming in through the other forums, feel free to add in or share your thoughts also. There is a question here in the meantime, or if anybody wants to, so they can raise a hand or just unmute themselves. Meanwhile, there's a question here, and I'm not sure who would be the best to answer. Maybe Yasin would try to take it, regarding family offices and corporates in Pakistan. Are they starting to invest in Pakistan too? I mean, is that something that you were talking about as well? So is that something that is happening that you see?
Absolutely, Asfandyar. So a lot of Pakistani family-owned businesses and family-owned conglomerates have started to invest into startups. They've started to look into, a few of them have invested, but I think majority is still just checking out how the industry behaves, because they're not very familiar with the kind of startup valuations and how the startup culture works. So I think they're just familiarizing themselves with how the culture works by observing the international investments that are coming in. And as I said, that probably over the next few years, we're going to see much more interest and much more investments. The family businesses have primarily invested into brick and mortar businesses because that's what people generally over here have faith in, because they believe that asset class is what you see. Intellectual is still probably relatively new ball game for the older generation, I would say. But the good point is, with the new generation, with their next generations coming in who've studied abroad, who've seen that culture thrive in the US and the Europe, they're coming back to Pakistan and taking reins of their family businesses. I think that's where a lot of interest lies. We've seen Fatma Gobi Venture forming up a JV and investing into a lot of startup, which was a brick and mortar Punjab-based family-owned business, and they have really done well. Similarly, I think Arif Habib Group is looking into investing into technology as well, just outside. Primarily, Pakistani companies look into investing into real estate or construction sector in iron and cement and steel and all of these things. But I think now the interest is generating, and yeah, I'm confident that transactions are going to happen as they should be.
Thank you. Amiruddin, would you like to add something?
Yeah,
Please.
so I think I'll supplement what was just said about corporates and family offices. So it's still nascent, it's still early stages, but we do see a lot of activity where corporates are, forming investments pools. We've seen that the Lakhani family has done it. We see a number of large corporate groups as the newer generation comes in and they have exposure to these kind of setups, and they want to participate in a number of new initiatives, be it electric buses or electric vehicles. So we see this happening a lot, and there's a funding coming in from also on the corporate side. For example, our group has invested in 4 or 5 startups. Again, they tend to be businesses which are complementary, where the corporate can add value not by just giving cash, but also facilitating. So, for example, our businesses have invested in a telecoms business. We've invested in a logistics business. We've invested in a financial services, mortgage lending business. So there are a number of businesses which we can add value to by virtue of sharing our customer base or our knowledge and expertise in addition to the cash. So what you see is a combo, which is people putting in money and then helping those endeavors succeed by opening doors, providing connections, providing customers, or providing know-how and technology where relevant. So it is very much a trend that is starting to pick up.
That's very interesting. I think it'll definitely grow moving forward. Going back to sort of tourism and adventure tourism also, and generally the hospitality, the potential in that sector. Altaf, could I request you to sort of share your thoughts?
Thank you, Aswan. There is a lot of potential in Pakistan as far as tourism is concerned. As you all might have seen recently, that Fly Dubai has requested rights to fly into Skardu. There are other international airlines who are also looking at coming into the northern parts of Pakistan. There is some very serious potential up there as far as adventure tourism is concerned. You've got fantastic trekking out there. They've got trekking which goes from Skardu all the way to the base camp of K2. And if you look at the Skardu region, actually we out of the 13 tallest peaks, we actually have 7 within that region. So the trekking, hiking sort of, adventure-seeking tourism is definitely a potential out there. If you, as I think it was mentioned earlier, our beaches are absolutely spectacular. There is a lot of potential for people to come in with and set up hotels, beach resorts outside the city limits of Karachi. So on the tourism side, there is a lot of potential right now. There is, I think, fantastic opportunities over here. And I think this is the right time for people to jump in on this. Thank you.
Right. I know that you sort of travel a lot domestically, driving up and down, going all over the place. And I think very few people in Pakistan would know sort of the ins and outs, as much as you do.
Yes, thank you. I think a lot of people have started traveling within Pakistan now, especially due to COVID. Yes, I have driven extensively, across the country. So have clocked in many miles, and still intend to do a lot more. And I think that anybody who is interested in looking at adventure tourism and tourism, Pakistan is the next spot to come in.
Right. And how are you looking at sort of the textile sector? I mean, in terms of sort of from a Park UK business standpoint and in general, sort of.
So I think there is again a lot of potential right now on the textile side. As you see, our exports are very robust currently. As far as finished product is concerned, we are giving everybody a run for their money. There are orders that are coming in from people who were historically placing orders in China, Bangladesh, and India are now moving to Pakistan because our product quality is much better. Our pricing points are definitely much better. And I think that there is still quite a bit of gap in this sector. And I think people who are based out of the UK can definitely take a lot of advantage by picking up product from here.
Right. Just a question came in. I think that was also could be linked to sort of what we were talking about. The question is, how are sustainability and green initiatives being considered while we develop these pipelines of growth? It could be this, it could be others as well.
So very interesting, and thank you for that question. So I think there is a lot of potential for green, sort of sustainable tourism, and that is what is the need of the hour right now. And a lot of people who are looking at putting up hotels are looking at the way to actually encourage sustainable tourism. So there are ways. I mean, I myself am working on a couple of projects up north, and where our sort of key goal is to ensure that it is A, sustainable, B, you do not damage the landscape, or you do not sort of disturb the local communities as to how they're operating. There's a fine line that has to be tread in this sort of development, because it's very easy that you can go into Skardu and sort of the whole of GB, and suddenly places fast food chains are popping up if you go to Hunza and Gilgit side. And it's interesting because this morning I was having a discussion with some friends, doctors, and they were saying that because of the change in the actual food intake of people up there, you're seeing obesity coming in there, and that is because of this sort of culture that we're taking from down here up to that area. So the fast food concepts are sort of creeping in there, and so this is something that has to be looked at and sort of managed very, very carefully.
Right, makes a lot of sense. There's another question related to that, and that's: are you seeing the same impact in the textile industry, with water usage and pollution a key issue not only for developing countries? Just to sort of just before I asked you to comment on that. Yeah, Interloop Limited, which is a listed company and a very large textile exporter, growing rapidly, and also the other more established sort of players in textile, from what I understand, they're even LEED certified in manufacturing premises in terms of water usage, water recycling. Yep. So now it's becoming more and more important. Not just, I mean, of course, from a sustainability standpoint, from a standpoint for the customers and the buyers abroad, but also from a water scarcity standpoint in Pakistan as well. I mean, that's
true, and even
becoming.
And even, sorry, Hassan, and even what you're seeing is that local brands are becoming more and more sort of careful and want to work with companies who have got proper affluent treatment plants, who have got sort of they're using the dyes and chemicals which are of standard and sort of do not damage the environment. So a lot of the textile sector is moving. Well, the larger players have already sort of been doing this for a while. But now you're seeing the smaller scale, the mid and small scale sort of suppliers, manufacturers also moving in that direction.
Just one question on this front. I mean, on one side, obviously, exports are growing People are sort of, the orders are coming in, there's a connection being made in terms of buying and selling of goods, of textile goods. You see there's opportunity for even people to invest into businesses in the textile sector, be it on the retail side, on the manufacturing end.
Definitely. I think anybody who wants to invest in Pakistan in the textile sector, it's an absolute no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer, because whether you go into the manufacturing side of things, or you're looking at going into the retail side of things, the margins here are far, far, far greater than what you find anywhere else in the world.
Right. Great. Ali and the Park Launch team, it would be great if you could also give us your ideas of how the community, the Park Launch community, what we can do to collaborate further and in that direction. Anything on your mind?
Yeah. So on our community, we have all the Pakistani local VCs, but we also have VCs with Pakistani descent. As you know, like Saudi Aramco has a Pakistani VC. Amazon Alexa fund is over a $250 million fund by Amazon. It's a 50% Pakistanis. Lightspeed has a Pakistani. Arif Hilali was recently at Sequoia, now with Bain. So there are a lot of folks like those. We also have a lot of them as part of our community. And there's also a lot of non-Pakistani VCs as part of our community. We have an Indian VC, Indonesian, Chinese as part of our community too. But I think we are primarily still a lot of angel investors. So we have a lot of folks working in tech sector in the US, especially that's where we are strong in, who are looking to invest. So we have had investors who just started joining our, I wouldn't call it fundraisers, but introductions. We do it every alternate Saturday. They would join in and they would invest through introductions. But a lot of them are working for Dropbox, senior director, and somebody at P&G. And some of them have made 5-6 investments. But these are pre-seed and seed. I think the biggest challenge that we have seen is but I guess it's the process of maturing, I guess. I think a lot of the startups that we deal, there's also a lot of fluff too, right? So we get a lot of I don't know, what do you guys think about NICs and the quality produce? I think they're doing great job with the resources they have, but I think there's a huge number coming out. And unfortunately, we have to tell like 95% of them that they're not going anywhere, so I think that somehow message needs to be told. So I think from our side, the biggest thing would be, how can the diaspora help? Because we have a lot of our members are in the tech sector. They can transfer knowledge into Pakistan. And a lot of our members already are. We have expert panel series where we open up a Zoom, and somebody from Salesforce would just be training on the technical aspects, somebody on Kubernetes, AI, machine learning, and stuff like that. So I think it would be interesting to know from your side, is it the capital? I think the capital issue is resolved. We actually have more people looking to invest into Pakistan. What are the pain points in Pakistan, and how can diaspora help? I think would be my question.
Anybody would like to talk about that?
I would like to also add over here, there's a very interesting question that has cropped up to the chats about what is the biggest issue facing Pakistani startups? What area can diaspora help with? Capital, knowledge transfer. I think it's a combination of everything. It's I think if Pakistani diaspora who's sitting international places like US, Europe, and with the Fortune 500 companies, if they can look into probably acquisition of local startups, I think that can be done. The diaspora can work on that. I mean, Alibaba coming in and investing into Daraz, or Uber coming in and taking over Careem, for example. These are just some examples. And I think every company out there, Pakistani is sitting at the CXO level, and they can probably look into how they can probably buy into some Pakistani exciting startups who complement within their business industries, and probably investing $1 million, a couple of $1 million into Pakistan, and having a proof of concept established in Pakistan working for them. I think that's a fantastic idea. That's what I think Rocket Internet did with Food Panda. That's what they did with earlier in Daraz as well. So I think, so we, as a startup industry player myself, I think instead of just expecting someone to come in and deploy capital over here, I understand the challenges, the exit strategies, the legal structures over here. They're all evolving right now, and they're going to shape up for the better in the coming times. But till then, I think we can take a leaf out of how things have been done over the past. And those international companies, maybe they be from the tech sector, automobile, I mean, they can be from any industry, and they can look into investing into Pakistani startups, whoever is complementing. So even companies like, I would say, GE or General Motors or HP, the established ones, the Oracles and all. So it's not necessarily has to be only the VCs coming in and investing into Pakistan or the tech sector particularly. It could be other industries as well who can have presence in Pakistan through acquisition of local startups. I think that's where a lot of opportunities lie as well.
I think acquisition, but also before that, to some extent, where mentoring happens. You know, a lot of cases the mentoring is needed, and then why? I mean, those who are mentoring also then sort of invest as well once they see that, you know, there's a case for that kind of investment. Ali, I had a question for you as well related to this, sort of what we're doing in Pakistan. The FPCCI is doing, the Pakistani Business Council. Our goal is sort of to facilitate as well and to identify these kind of opportunities as well, which maybe are not necessarily identified through the other channels. That's one thing we would like to do. Do you feel any challenges you have in sort of just interacting in Pakistan, or even identifying sort of businesses, other than, of course, you mentioned, you know, NICs and other sort of channels, but anything, other types of businesses which are not necessarily tech startups and also can be in the area of manufacturing, financial services, things like this that are not necessarily coming through that route?
Not, like most of the emerging markets have similar issues. So like, I think in terms of regulations, I think they will come. So whether the government is on our side or not, population is on our side, right? So just the size, at some point, it's big enough market, you can't ignore it. So, and I was reading, I think Munib from Baikia had shared, in 10 years from now, I think Pakistan would be the 7th largest consumer globally. So, it's a huge market. So I think regulations will catch up. I think the talent pool maybe could be worked on, but I think we still have enough talent to, that can absorb maybe a few $1 billion of investing as well. So I think what we are trying to do is just changing the narrative. I think Pakistan over the years has had a pretty poor branding, even within the Pakistanis abroad. So Pakistanis themselves are scared of other Pakistanis living in Pakistan. So ke paisa leke bhag jayega and stuff like that. So we are just trying to showcase them that, Ali Mukhtar is not going to do that. Yeah, all these startups are pretty legit. They're just like you and stuff like that. I think if you notice, I think that's why a lot of folks are investing right now in people like themselves, right? Like people who have worked outside or they're educated in certain schools and stuff like that. At least for now, I think bulk of the funding is going to those kids. But I think over time, I think that will change as well. So I think what we could do a better job as a community, and we try to focus on that. I think we can do the same approach in UK and Europe also, is just our branding. I think our branding itself is, so just getting some of the right set of folks out there and getting them to meet with investors and stuff and just make people warm and fuzzy. What we have seen is a lot of overseas Pakistanis just don't know how to contribute. So for example, if there was a portal for overseas Pakistanis where we can go in and I can say, okay, I worked at Amazon, I'm coming to Pakistan for 2 weeks. You can check my calendar and somebody can come and just book it for 30 minutes, right?
Office hours sort of thing.
Office hours. Like people like, how can, I have like an hour a week available, right? And I want to volunteer and give back to Pakistan. There's no way right now to do it. Like I'm not going to go to rosie.com and do it. So
Right.
things like those just don't exist, those platforms. And that's what at Park Launch we are developing. But, you guys are, I'm sharing openly here so other people can do the same thing. But we are
Absolutely.
just trying to just educate people. I think what we have seen, like I give always examples. There are angel investors from our group who had never invested in startups. They joined, they started meeting folks, and there are at least a couple of them who have invested in 5+ startups. They created a syndicate of $2 million. Pakistanis
Yeah.
abroad have a lot of money, frankly speaking. So especially in the tech sector now, I think is the new investment bankers, right? So these people can invest. It just is, do they trust Pakistan or not? So that's
Right.
I think we are trying to bridge that gap, and I think
Yeah.
you guys can play that role as well.
Definitely. I think we're almost out of time, so I just wanted to do, I mean, there are a couple of more questions, but I think we can sort of try to connect each other as well and take it offline also. Just wanted to request our guests, Ather Saab and Imran Saab, to sort of share their last thoughts, and then we'll wrap it up. Thank you. Ather Saab.
Thank you, Asfandia. Thank you, Park Launch team. I think it is a great initiative. I think these initiatives like these must continue. You guys are doing a great job. We at FPCCI have worked pretty hard this year as well to turn it around and to facilitate the business community as much as we can. But I think we all, I think it is lackness at my part as well that I couldn't connect with you guys earlier. I think we must connect and from the FPCCI platform as well. And we should see that how we can help the Pakistani business community and Pakistan as a whole to grow, inshallah. So let me know. I'm always available. And inshallah, we must work together to grow Pakistan. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Imran, over to you.
As Ali said, I think absolutely agree. Lots of things need to be done on the trust opportunity and on branding perspective. But let's continue to have similar sessions so that we can explore opportunities on both sides as we evolve. And we'll be happy to connect businesses of Park Launch with businesses in Pakistan. And let's continue the engagement on both sides.
Absolutely. And on that note, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ather Saab, Imran Saab, Ehsan, Aminuddin, Altaf, and everybody else who sort of joined us on Zoom and otherwise, and the Park Launch team especially for organizing this. I mean, it's been a fantastic discussion, and I think we can do a lot more moving forward. And it's been great, and I think a lot of exciting things are happening, and I think a lot more to come. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day, have a good evening, have a good night, and Khuda Hafiz.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Good night. Khuda Hafiz.
Hafiz.
Thank you. Allah Hafiz.